Hi everyone, this is Deb Tim, a Canadian girl, and I'm so excited to share with you the redo of my 55-gallon aquarium. It's gone from a really lovely freshwater aquarium to a really awesome planted aquarium. Now, keep in mind my plants are babies, so there's lots of room for growth, but I think it turned out really well, and I can't wait to share it with you, so please stay tuned. Well, this is the final footage that I'll be sharing on this 55-gallon tropical community aquarium. Saturday morning, following my coffee, having all my supplies ready, I was set to begin tearing this tank down. I thought we'd have one more quick look before I begin. Anytime I do anything major to any of my aquariums, I like to give the inhabitants a good feeding. I don't usually feed the first or second day that they are in their new home. The reason is simply that they are just too excited and curious to eat. So why let the food spoil? Okay, let's get moving. My siphon is set up with my pump and I have the water draining. In the pails, I have all the rocks, scape items, and plants. I won't be using any of this for the new setup. So here's the 55-gallon as it is right now. It's been cleaned, and I removed the heater, sponge filter, and polisher. Now I left the canister filter set up, and I will be running it just as it is. The fluval stratum is in, so once it's all set up, then I will be returning the heater and the polisher, but I won't be using the sponge filter. I don't feel that's necessary. I'm sorry for the glare. This is not a great time to be doing some shooting, but you can get the idea of the setup through the glare. Unfortunately, this is not the setup I ended up with. As I filled the tank, even with stones holding the wood down, the wood refused and kept floating. So I just had to improvise and come up with something else. Wow, this is different than I first originally planned. It's quite bare, but I'm very optimistic that the plants will settle, set down some roots, and like their new home. Before I added the fish, I did water tests on the tank that they were in and tested this aquarium. I was very impressed that the parameters were almost identical. Sunday morning, I retested the water, and once more it was perfect. So Sunday afternoon, the community returned to their tank, with the exception of the 2 Cynodontis catfish and the snails. So let's take a closer look at my planting technique. The first is this lovely lacy Java fern. As you can see, I tied it to the stone. This next plant is called the Ambulia. It's apparently a very hardy plant and propagates easily and grows quickly. The albino corycats sure show up well on this dark substrate. I'm already enjoying this tank. So then on to the next plant is my jungle val. It is planted and it looks really lush and beautiful, so I'm hoping that it settles in and doesn't die off as much as it's known to. So the next plant is my Anubias that I tied to the tree branch. And then down here in front is a plant I picked up at PetSmart, and I think it was called a Rotala rotundifolia. I thought it looked really cute, so I hope it does well. And here is my second Java fern, again securely tied to the rock. Then going up here to the top of this tree that still looks a little bare, I have a second Anubias tied on securely. Now I'm really looking forward to when it grows roots and they hang down. I think that's going to look really cool. So this pretty little bushy plant is called a green kabamba, and I picked it up at PetSmart. Now it did say easy, but learning more about it, it does need more light. So hopefully it will do okay in this aquarium. Periodically, you can see my crebensis in the tank. They have been in quarantine for a couple weeks, so they are absolutely loving exploring this new home. Now these little small shoots of the plant of the rotundifolia, it was first planted on the right side, and when I moved it, these little shoots stayed behind. So I thought I would leave them. In front of you, you can see my crypts. They're doing well, but I do understand that often they will completely disappear, but come back if you leave them alone. So that's what I am planning to do. Now around here, the final corner, are my Amazon swords. As you can see, the crebensis are busy exploring this tank. I only have 3, but it seems like I have a lot more because every time we move, we see one. I almost forgot to mention that I have this little plant stuck back here, and it is a moneywort. And I also picked it up with the other 2 at PetSmart. From what I read, it's a suitable plant for this aquarium. So we'll see. A friend of mine told me the ones that live like the tank, the ones that die don't. That's pretty smart. So here is my planted paradise. I am going to take a quick shot of it every Monday, and we will see how it transforms over the course of the next few weeks. Now, in creating this scape, I felt it was important to give my fish lots of caves, so I made a wall of caves running across the back of the aquarium. Many fish in this aquarium like caves, so with them in mind, that is why the scape turned out the way it did. There are a couple stock changes. I moved the Cynodontis catfish to my 150, and they seem to be loving the big tank. The snails are now Humphrey's roommates. I have a couple plecos that I intend to bring down from my fish room for this aquarium. And of course, you've met my new cribs. So this is it, people. Let me know what you think. Until next time, this is Deb Tim signing out. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for all your help and suggestions and advice. And again, if you see anything that isn't done right or could use some fixing up, don't hesitate to let me know, because I want this to be perfect. And I will talk to you soon. Bye.